You put it on radar, not because you were trying to be seen, not because you posted something hoping it would catch. You put it on radar because the universe finally stopped letting you hide, and the frequency you've been broadcasting on for years just got picked up by the right receivers. That's what on radars does. And it doesn't look for noise, it doesn't chase signals that are trying to be loud. It waits for something real to move across its field. And when you finally moved, when your identity stopped being something you carried quietly and became something the world had to reckoning with, every screen lit up, every algorithm glitched, every person who ever thought they had you figured out suddenly realized they were reading the wrong book the entire time. Here is what's actually happened when your identity hit the internet. It didn't trend, it didn't go viral in the way things usually do. It detonated. But not the kind of detonation that leaves ash and smoke, the kind that leaves clarity, the kind that forces everyone who ever dismissed you to sit in the silence on their own miscalculation. Because when you reveal who you really are, after years of letting people project their limitations onto you, the shockwave doesn't just hit their screens, it hits their nervous system. It rewires the way they see you and the way they see themselves at the same time. And that's the part they are still trying to process, the part that's keeping them up at night. They really thought they knew you. They figured you out. They had you categorized. They had you labeled and filed away in a drawer they didn't need to open again. You were the quieter one. You were the one who didn't push back, the one who let them talk over you and assign you a role in their story that kept them comfortable, of course. They built a narrative around you that made their mediocrity feel less visible. And then you pulled the curtain back, and everything they ever said about you turned into evidence against them. Not because you were trying to prove them wrong, no, but because the truth of who you are is so undeniable, so solid, fundamentally solid, that their cheap theories collapsed under its weight. Here is something they will never admit. They always knew you were different. Even before you knew it yourself. That's why they reacted the way they did. People don't attack what they don't sense as a threat. They don't gossip about people who don't quietly threaten their comfort. Every joke at your expense was panic, wearing a cheap mask. Every dismissal was fear that you might actually be what they secretly suspected. They saw flashes on this reveal long before you did. They felt something in you that they couldn't control, couldn't predict, couldn't manipulate. And instead of celebrating it, they tried to bury it. But you cannot bury something that was always meant to rise. Think about the moment your identity surfaced. Not the curated version, not the one you show at parties or family dinners or job interviews. The real one, the one you have been sitting on because You were not sure if the world was ready. The one you kept in the quietest part of yourself because exposing it felt too vulnerable, too dangerous, too final. And when it happened, it was out. And the silence that followed was the loudest thing you have ever experienced. Not the kind of silence that comes from indifference, no, the kind that comes from shock, from recalibration, from people trying to reconcile the person they thought they knew with the person standing in front of them now. That silence told you everything. It told you that every label they slapped on you was a lie. It told you that every ceiling they placed over your head was a protection of their own limits. And it told you that the moment your truth hit the open air, you became something they could no longer ignore. But here is what's really interesting. When people say the elite wants to get you in, they're not talking about some secret society with handshakes and rituals. They are talking about the recognition that comes when you are proven, or you have proven you cannot be contained. The elite, whatever that word means to you, is simply the group of people who understand the power. That power is real and that potential is currency. And when your identity revealed itself, they noticed. Not because you asked them to, not because you performed for them, because you became undeniable, because your frequency changed. And suddenly the people who pay attention to your frequency couldn't look away. They want you in because you showed them something they don't see every day. You showed them someone who refused to be defined by the limitations of others. You showed them someone who endured the doubt and the dismissal and the quiet sabotage and still emerged as the person you were always meant to be. And that's not luck. No, that's not coincidence. That's architecture. You built this version of yourself in the dark, away from the noise, away from the people who would have tried to talk you out of it. You protected your evolution from the wrong eyes. You let them think you were small because you knew that growth happens underground, like a seed. And when you finally stepped into the light, it was so bright, so complete, so unshakable that it broke their ability to pretend. Have you ever noticed how people act when they are confronted with the truth they were not ready for? They don't get angry at the truth, they get angry at themselves for not seeing it. They replay every interaction, every time they talked down to you, every time they rolled their eyes, every time they laughed at something you said that was actually profound. They look back and they see the signs they missed. And the regret is suffocating, not because they care about you, because they care about themselves. Yeah. And the narrative they built to protect their own ego. That narrative just got shattered. And they are standing in the wreckage trying to figure out how to rebuild something that never should have existed in the first place. Your reveal didn't just expose who you are. It exposed who they are. It exposed their inability to see beyond the surface. It exposed their fear of people who cannot be controlled. It exposed their jealousy, dressed up as criticism. And now they are scrambling. Some of them are trying to get close to you, acting like they always believed in you. They are sending messages that fell hollow. They are showing up in places they never showed up before. They want proximity. They want access. Not because they suddenly value you, because they value what you represent now. They want to be associated with the energy you are carrying. They want to say they knew you when, and it's pathetic actually, but it's also predictable. On the other side, there are the ones who have gone quiet, the ones who haven't said a word, no congratulations, no acknowledgement, just silence. And that silence is louder than anything they could have said. It's the sound of someone realizing they were wrong and not having the emotional intelligence to admit it. It's the sound of someone trying to process a reality that doesn't fit their framework. They don't know how to respond, because responding would mean admitting they misjudged you. So they retreat, they disappear, they hope you didn't notice, or you will not notice their absence, but you do. And you understand exactly what it means. Here's what you need to know about putting yourself on a radar. It's not about being seen for the sake of being seen. It's about being seen for the sake of being understood. And there is a difference. When people see you, let me focus. When people see you for what you truly are, they either align with you or they fall away. There is no middle ground. The ones who stay are the ones who were always meant to be there. The ones who leave were never really there to begin with. That's the gift of revelation. It separates from the real from the performance. It clarifies, it simplifies, it makes everything feel lighter, because you are no longer carrying the weight of pretending to be something you are not. Now think about what it means that the elite wants to get you in. It means your identity has shifted into a category that cannot be ignored. It means the people who pay attention to power, to influence, to movement, have taken note. And it's not because you're loud or aggressive or desperate for attention. It's because you are real. And in a world full of curated personas and carefully crafted images, real is the rarest thing there is. They want you in because they know that someone who can survive the process of becoming, who can endure the doubt and isolation and the misjudgment, is someone who can handle what comes next. They are not offering you a seat at the table. They are acknowledging that you build your own table. And they want to be near it. That's the shift that happens when you stop hiding. You go from being someone people ignore to someone people cannot stop watching. And it's uncomfortable at first. Yeah. Because you are not used to that kind of attention. You are used to being, to blending in. You are used to letting others take up space. But the universe has a way of forcing you into the role you were always meant to play. And once you are in it, there is no going back. You cannot unseen what you have become. You cannot unlearn what you know about yourself. So the radar is on, the signal is being read, and the people who matter are paying attention. But let's be honest about what this really costs. You don't put yourself on radar without going through something. You don't reveal your identity without having buried parts of it first. And you don't arrive at this moment without having walked through the fire of doubt, the fire of rejection, the fire of people telling you you're not enough. And that fire wasn't random. It was refining you. It was burning away the parts that were not you. It was stripping you down to the essential version of yourself, the version that can handle being on radar, the version that doesn't crumble under the weight of other people's expectations, the version that understands that the elite doesn't want you in because you are convenient. They want you in because you are undeniable and true, real. Imagine this. You have been carrying a locked briefcase your whole life. People laughed at it. People, they said it was probably empty. They said you were overhyping yourself. They said you had nothing in there worth protecting. And you let them laugh because you knew the briefcase wasn't for them. It was for a moment you'd finally unlock it. It was for you. And when you did, when the contents spilled onto it, out into the open, it wasn't just impressive, it was devastating. It proves that everything they thought they knew about you was wrong. It proves that your silence was strategy, not weakness. It proved that your restraint was strength, not fear. And now they are standing there, mouth open, trying to figure out how they missed it. That's what a reveal does. It forces people to confront their own blindness. It makes them ask themselves why they couldn't see what was right in front of them. And the answer is simple. Yeah, they didn't want to see. Seeing would have meant admitting you were more than they could handle. Seeing would have meant acknowledging their own limitations. Seeing would have required them to shrink their ego enough to make room for your truth. And they couldn't do it. So they dismissed you, they labeled you, they tried to make you small. And now that you are standing in your full power, they are left with nothing but regret and the uncomfortable knowledge that you were never in control. You are right, yeah. Here's another layer. The elite doesn't just want you in because of what you have already done. They want you in because of what you are about to do. They can sense the trajectory. They can feel the momentum. They understand that someone who has gone through what you have gone through, and emerged with clarity and purpose is someone who's going to shape their future. They are not interested in what you have done, although they are a little bit. They are interested, most importantly, they are interested in what you are capable of. And they are smart enough to recognize that your reveal was just the beginning. That the version of you that just shocked the internet is still there warm up. That underneath the surface, there is more. There is always more. You know what the most dangerous part of your identity is? It's not what you showed them. It's what you didn't show them. They are scared because they realize their reveal wasn't the full picture. It was a sample. It was a controlled release. It was the part you could afford to let them see. And when that was too much, and even that was too much for them to handle. So what happens when you show more? What happens when the layers keep peeling back? What happens when the mystery deepens instead of resolves? That's what keeps them up at night. That's that fear they cannot articulate. They don't know your rage, they don't know your limits, and that lack of knowing makes them small. Think about the people who are suddenly acting different around you. The ones who used to dismiss you are now trying to impress you. The ones who used to talk over you are now listening with exaggeration, exaggerated attention. The ones who used to ignore you are now finding reasons to be in your orbit. It's a beautiful thing to witness, yeah. Not because you need their validation, but because it confirms that you already knew. Your presence has shifted the balance. You are no longer the background character in their story, background noise. You are the main event, main character. And they don't know how to handle that. So they fumble, they overcompensate, they try to reclaim the dynamic they once had, but it's gone. You've outgrown them, and they know it. Here is the part that really matters. The radar didn't find you by accident. You put yourself on it, not with a post or a reveal or a grand gesture. You put yourself on it by becoming undeniable, by refusing to stay small, by being you, by stepping into the identity you were always meant to carry. And the moment you did, everything shifted. Everything. The algorithms picked it up. The people who matter noticed. The people who dismissed you felt the ground move beneath their feet. That's the power of alignment. When you align with your truth, the universe rearranges itself to match. It brings you the right opportunities, the right people, your tribe, the right attention. And it removes the ones who were never meant to stay. So the elite wants to get you in because they see that alignment. They see that you have done the work. They see that you have gone through the crucible and come out the other side intact. They don't want you in because you are polished. They want you in because you are authentic. Period. Because you cannot be faked. Because your presence is felt before you even speak. And unfortunately, in a world that's full of noise and performance and people trying to be what they are not, authentic is the rarest currency there is. So what do you do now? You keep going. Yeah, it's simple, actually, and it's really hard. You don't let the sudden attention change you. You don't let the validation make you soft, or the criticism make you defensive. You stay grounded in the truth that brought you here, the truth that you built this version of yourself in the dark, the truth that you survived the doubt and the dismissal and the isolation, the truth that you are not here by accident. You are here because you refuse to give up on yourself. And that's really fascinating, yeah. Because that refusal, that persistence, stubbornness, that quiet defiance is the reason the radar picked you up in the first place. Your identity revealed shock the internet because it was real, because it was earned, because it wasn't a performance, it was a culmination of years of growth, years of patience, years of trusting that the moment would come when you could step forward and be fully seen. And that moment is here, and you are ready for it. You are ready for it, not because you are prepared for it, but because you have lived it. Everything that happened, every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt, second guess, was leading to this, and now that you are here, there is no stopping the momentum. The radar is on, the signal is clear, and the world is watching. Let them watch, let them try to figure you out. Let them attempt to categorize you and assign you a role that makes them feel comfortable. They will not succeed because you are not a category. You are not a role. You are a presence, a force, a frequency that cannot be ignored. And the people who are meant to see you are seeing you. The ones who are not are falling away. That's how it works. That's how it always works. You don't need to convince anyone. You just need to keep being who you are. The radar will do the rest. And the elite, they are not your destination. They are not your validation. They are just evidence that you are on the right path. They are a sign that your frequency is resonating with the people who matter. But you don't actually need them. You don't need anyone to tell you you are enough. You have already proven that to yourself. You have already walked through the fire and come out the other side. Everything else is just confirmation. Everything else is just the universe reflecting back what you already know. You put it on radar. Not because you were trying, not because you were asking for it, but because you became undeniable. And now that you are here in the center of your own story, there is nothing left to do but keep moving forward. Keep revealing, keep growing, keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. The radar is watching. The world is watching. And you are exactly where you need to be. Love you. Be strong.